this is a theoretical case study. I mean, this isn't a real case study, but this is really starting with the end in mind. You know, our ideal situation, something that's both realistic but also ideal. Okay, so I think the ideal time to start with an athlete is really after their freshman year of high school. You know, we start with the 8th graders here, but really even some of the 8th graders don't really have the mindset yet. They don't know that college is a reality. They don't know that playing in the next level is a reality, so they're still kind of figuring it out. After your freshman year, after your high school freshman experience, you're going to know if you want it and if it's realistic. So, and also as a 15-year-old female, they're physically more mature. Okay, so they're ready for the most part to really enter an advanced, progressive training program. Not to say that you're going to load them up real fast, but they're ready to join the party. Okay, so we're going to start here in this theoretical example with a 5'7", 125-pound female. Okay, you know, there are bigger girls, there are skinnier girls. It does not matter. This is not really that doesn't really matter in this case. Okay, so they want to get better on the field. Okay, we have to give them kind of goals in the weight room that we know will somehow transfer to results on the field, or at least support the development of the capacities that are sport specific, like speed and and skill transfer. Okay, so one thing that we know that's universal is basically our starting strength standards. You know, what is a good level of strength to achieve? Where if we progress toward that, we know we're doing good things in the gym as professionals, but the athlete is progressing at a reasonable rate, and strength being ultimately the capacity that underpins pretty much efficiency and progress of all our systems. Okay, we want to like make strength the goal for them. So what's a good, say we'll take the squat for example, what's a good goal to attain, what's a good basic level of strength is going to be 1.5 times their body weight. Now that's not an outstanding number by any means, but for an athlete, for a softball middle infielder, center fielder, for a position player, for a female soccer player, squat 1.5 times your body weight is a pretty good goal, and we can do a lot of things with an athlete with that amount of capacity. Okay, so and we know this. I think if you ask plenty of coaches, you're going to come up with the same type numbers. But by when? You know, 1.5 being the goal, you're not going to get that 125-pound 15-year-old female is not going to come to you and be able to squat 1.5 times their body weight, but we have to get them there. Okay? I think now this is universally accepted as a pretty good standard for athletes, for position players, for athletes, not for strength athletes, for field and court sport athletes. I'm going to set the goal of being before junior year of college. And why do I think junior year of college is a good time? Because it's pretty much, you give them 2 years to focus, to realize, really like limit speed and limit skill. You know, as a junior and senior, I mean, this is all theoretically, and this is all ideal. Playing for a conference championship, playing for a national championship, playing to be drafted and move on professionally. This isn't just working with females, but again, this is going to apply for most athletes. Can you get them on the road to squatting 150% of their body weight as a junior? Well, we're starting with a 125-pound athlete. Not going to be 125 pounds come junior year. So you have to, again, reasonably estimate. And the weight really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, as you're going to see in this example, I don't think. I'll estimate by junior year in college, this female athlete, who's a dedicated athlete, is going to grow to 150 pounds. That's only 5 pounds a year. It's 5 years. From the beginning of her sophomore year in high school to the beginning of her junior year in college, 5 years, she's going to gain 5 pounds a year. It's less than half a pound a month. This is not a lot of weight, especially when they're training and they're athletic. Okay, 5'7", 150 pounds is nothing, that a female athlete should be scared of. Okay, so our goal is to get them to 1.5 times their body weight before junior year of college. At 150 pounds, junior year of college, their max squat is 225. Okay, if you're a collegiate strength coach, say soccer team, softball team, lacrosse team, and you have 15 to 25 girls, 150-pound girls squatting 225, perfect, parallel, you're like the best strength coach in the world. Okay, you have the best athletes in the world. That just isn't out there. Okay, and as much as much emphasis as we place on numbers and maxes, quality squats at that level is just not out there consistently. A lot of the times because the girls don't have the training background. But if I can get a girl sophomore year of high school, we can build up that base. And let's see how we build that momentum. Okay, how are we going to break this down? Again, it's ideal, but it's also realistic. I'm estimating that this girl is going to come to me. She's a softball player in this case, so her training off season is 6 months, September to February, through February. Okay, after competitive tournament season in the summer, all the way up to the start of her high school season in March. 6 months of training. Okay, that's probably less. We'll say 24 weeks. We'll call it an even 24 weeks. Less than half a year of training with me. That breaks down to 6 4-week phases, and that's important for progress. Breaking down the progress. Now, to the realistic numbers. At 5'7", 125 pounds, if this girl can squat, if we can get a bar on her back or on her shoulders, or even in her hands at this point with goblet squats, okay, I estimate that after her first 4 weeks of training, sophomore year of high school, going into her sophomore year of high school, that her max squat is going to be 85 pounds. 125-pound athlete squatting, okay, within 4 weeks of training, 85 pounds. Now, as you'll see, this is a rep max estimate. I'm just trying to be reasonable here. These are all estimates. I don't think that's unreasonable to say that a 125-pound girl with 4 weeks of training, we can get an 85-pound estimated squat 1RM out of her. This is not like phenomenal athleticism here. I'm not reaching. But this is important to develop a starting point, okay? Because now we have a starting point and we have our end goal. We have to improve her squat 140 pounds in 5 years. 140 pounds in 5 years it's close to 30 pounds a year, which sounds like a lot. Okay, we're going to break this down. Now, the year-to-year improvements. I estimate that by the end of 6 months, her first quote-unquote year of training with me, okay, we're going to improve 30 pounds from 85 to 115. Again, these are not unrealistic numbers, but it gives it's much easier to digest for the athletes to know what to look forward to and how to grade themselves month to month and year to year. 85 to 115. This girl at the end of year 1 is 130 pounds. She's still not squatting her body weight after year 1. I'm being reasonable. This is what you'll see. After year 2, okay, she gets up to an estimated 1RM of 135. After year 2, she's 135 pounds. Okay, she's now being able to squat her body weight. This is 12 months of training. This is not an unrealistic expectation, but again, it's progress. You have to do this 5 years in a row. Year 3, 135 to 165. Year 4, 165 to 195. Year 5, 195 to 225. So about 30 pounds a year we need to put on her squat. Okay, we're just using squat as an example. And the overall picture and the overall breakdown of the progress and the linear, how linear this process is really important for athletes to get a hold of. Again, this is for females especially, we're not asking very much. It's just consistent progress. All right, now I have laid out over 5 years, we have, again, six phases per training year, per 6-month investment with me. Okay, we start after her first phase, sophomore year, she's at 85 pounds. Okay, that could be, I'll give you an example here, 75 pounds times 5. That equates out to an 85-pound 1 rep max. Now, for people who don't, you're going to need to explain that we have our 1 rep max conversion chart. So we do rep max tests, and ultimately we're going to get calculated our estimate of 1RM. So we're still training at only like 2/3 of her body weight. So you test that 5 reps, that's calculated out to an 85-pound 1RM based on our percentages. 4 weeks after that, so 8 weeks into training, 75. She tested the same weight. She gets 7 reps this time. Is this an unrealistic improvement? No. All right, but rep max goes up 5 pounds. Her 1RM goes up 5 pounds to 90. And we progress. So from 4 weeks in to 24 weeks in, her first year of training, she goes from 75 for 5 to 95 for 7 and ends up at an estimated 115. So we're still training relative to her body weight, we're not asking her to do very much, but you can see that this is improvement. This is a lot easier to digest and expect than improving your 1RM. And then year 2, we see the same patterns. 95. She starts. I don't even allow her to jump after she goes. She ends year one with me. She goes to her competitive season. She comes back after 4 weeks of an reacclimation period. She's back to where she finished the last phase. So I didn't say she continuously improves. She's just going to be exactly the same as where she left off. 95 by 7 is again a 115, 1 RM. Keep going, and you're not going to improve every phase. And as you'll see, each year we make the biggest jumps in that last week of training, because what we're doing, we're preparing during the early phases, and then asking a little bit more of the athlete later on with more advanced loading strategies. So you're going to see pretty much either no improvement or 5-pound improvements till the last week. Here you see a 10-pound jump in the 1 RM. Here you see a 10-pound jump, and then again after year 5. So writing this out is an easy exercise to show your athletes what to expect. We're getting them to a universally accepted base level of strength, where the athlete can feel, I'm strong enough. Okay, you can specialize as far as a coach. I can now tailor my programs to be a little bit more advanced, work on speed. What's as important here is realizing that these aren't full years of training experience. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-month periods. That's only 2.5 years of training. All right. I think if you ask any coach who's been, who's established, when is an appropriate time to start using advanced styles of programming and loading strategies? Between 2 and 3 years of training. Starting strength. You're a beginner for a long time until you advance into more complicated programs. Triphasic training. That book is non-applicable to anybody who doesn't have 2 to 3 years of basic strength training experience, and he says it in the book. So these loading strategies, especially the advanced methods, are only appropriate for people who have 2 to 3 years of experience. This is realistic for a field and court sport athlete who comes to you 6 months out of the year, 5 years in a row. That's only 2.5 years of training. There's no use getting too complicated or getting too advanced.